The storylines to me aren't there. The villains, the heroes, the people that people can latch to. And I am in the belief that people really don't care to create them or be a part of them anymore. It doesn't serve them any good. Everybody wants to be a nice guy, all that stuff. I know that might sound like the old person answer. But what I saw this weekend was a lot of buildup. It was a lot of tension. It was a lot of tension to be built up. And nobody really wants to go down this path anymore of doing it. I could think of maybe a couple of people in the NBA that have a good storyline, something that you really want to follow. But especially from like an American perspective, and Bezos touched on it because a lot of y'all don't care to follow a European person. They're not going to give you what they want or what you want. And you also don't want to follow it. There's not a lot of stories that we care about anymore in the NBA, manufactured or otherwise. I do think that to a degree, the level of play is there as well. Like I said, we can get behind people playing all 40 minutes. Shouts out to Caitlin Clark and Gabby Marshall for doing that for 3, 4, 5 straight games in a row. We can get behind people playing defense and just sitting on people's handles and all that stuff. If the perception is that it's not in the NBA, no matter how many of you diehard fans can name it or whatever the case may be, that is the overwhelming perception. As validated, like Safe said, by the players of the past. That shit not there no more. They're not playing defense. They don't care. The regular season don't matter. The All-Star game don't matter. Playoffs don't matter till you get to the second half of the second round, third round. None of that shit matters. So if none of the NBA matters, if none of the regular season matters, All-Star doesn't matter, seeding doesn't matter, just getting to the playoffs, if none of that stuff matters anymore, ultimately, when we get to the big dance, when it should matter, why would it matter? Who cares?
Should only matter in like Game 6 of the NBA Finals type shit.
If I'm not following the storylines of the Hawks or the Magics or the Kings, or if I'm not following these people and they're not building that relationship with me throughout the entire year, when it comes June, whatever. I don't gotta follow them. Fuck it. Who cares? With the NBA playoffs right around the corner and March Madness here, my eyes are glued to some basketball. And what's a better way to watch than using PrizePicks for daily fantasy sports? I'm on the app right now, and I'm looking at the King. And every time I see King James, I gotta go more. The Lakers have gotta make a playoff push. And anybody going against the Lakers gotta go less, because the Kings gotta win. I'm taking De'Aaron Fox less on the points.
And we'll go ahead and put $8 on this entry to possibly win $24. Shout out to Kobe. Place entry, and boom, that is how you place the entry on PrizePicks.
Using code LKIAB, you can get a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. Go big or go home. Shouts out to PrizePicks for sponsoring this video.
I think you're wrong about it not being storylines in the NBA. You just have to do your due diligence of knowing what's going on and who's beefing with who and who dislikes who.
That's the problem.
What's the problem? That you have to know what's going on?
Wouldn't you have to? You think you had to do your due diligence about Caitlin Clark this weekend?
After the past year of it being shoved in your face, no.
That's the point. If we're trying to reach peak viewership, it's not about the diehard fan that will pay attention regardless of what the fuck is going on. Like when I was talking about the 2023 finals, obviously me, you, Omar, Sage are going to watch that NBA finals because of the fact that we're NBA fans and we're going to watch the NBA finals regardless. But the difference is when we're talking about the casual, what's going to push this thing to new heights, what's going to make people who do not watch this thing is gonna have to be some easy, low barrier to entry type shit. That's just.
If you want to say that the NBA has a problem pushing it, that's absolutely fine. But to say it's not there is just wrong. If you don't believe me, what was the viewership of the elimination game when Luka went crazy on the Sun? What was the viewership for that game? Because there was build up for that. They pushed what Luka being mad about X, Y, and Z. There was a little chatter about that, but. Yeah, I do feel like there's a problem with marketing in the NBA. Absolutely. Absolutely. I won't deny that. But like I said, if the argument is, or the statement, oh, there's no storylines or the storylines aren't there in NBA, that's just not true. It is. It's just not being pushed like that.
About Anthony Edwards and his beef with the Memphis Grizzlies. Nobody cares about that, bro.
Who said it? Who was talking about that? Because I was talking about how Ant feels about the calls SGA gets. I was also talking about how Luka despises the fucking Suns and the Clippers, and it's looking like the Mavericks might end up playing the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs. And if you don't think that's going to be an exciting first round, then hey, that's on you. But that's a storyline.
As a diehard basketball fan, of course, I would think as Omar Luka Griggs, I definitely think that to be the case.
Again, but to say the storylines aren't there, I feel like that is not true. If you want to say the NBA isn't doing his due diligence of pushing shit, I absolutely agree. There's two different things. To say it's not there just isn't true. It's just not being pushed the same way Caitlin Clark shit was being pushed. Caitlin Clark was being put under a magnifying glass, especially after the national championship game last year with the whole debacle between her and LSU and the "you can't see me" shit and all that. It was a bunch of shit that pushed it. And then going into this year, the hate she got, the discourse about who's the best yes, they did their due diligence of pushing the right shit.
Cardiac said that game 6.3 million views.
And I just don't know what I'm talking about then. Fuck it.
That's low. That's low, right?
I don't know what I'm talking
Game
about.
Game 6 or Game 7? I thought it was Game 7 when Luka dogged them.
I thought it was game. Well, no, you're right. It went to 7 games. We can look up the Game 7 too. I mean,
I've been trying to look it up. I can't find it.
Oh, Cardiac said that was Game 7. He said it's that was Game 7.
6.3. I mean, I'm on Damo's side in this regard. I just think for the NBA to reach like the viewership that the NCAA reached this past weekend, it's just extremely hard when games are a 7-game series instead of single elimination, because inherently every single game has just less stakes. Now, Omar, if you want to say the NBA should just move towards single elimination, I guess that'd be a different argument. But I just, maybe in terms of ratings, I just can't expect those type of ratings on a every single game basis unless it's on some 2016 final shit.
I don't expect it to be record-breaking numbers every time. Like, I really don't. Higher than that. And they've always been, not always been, but they've been that in the past, B-Souls, where it is, we have 7-game series or whatever the case may be.
I am looking at it. 2016 was like 17 to 20 every game.
They've been that before. They have been that before. So we can't keep chucking it up to the bullshit answers, in my opinion. We can't. We literally cannot. As simple as that to me.
TK Randy, I promise you I'm not focusing on a niche thing. He addressed 2-3 things that were an issue. I disagree with one, so I spoke up on it. Get the dick out your mouth. Like, what are we talking about? He said these are 3 problems. I disagree with one. I spoke on it. What the fuck are we, like, what are we talking about? I'm supposed to just agree with the nigga? I'm supposed to just shut the fuck up if I disagree? Just because Wemby and Anthony Edwards get pushed super hard doesn't mean it's not a plethora of other young stars that doesn't deserve to be pushed. That's why I feel it's a marketing problem. If you want to sit there and say, oh, Ant and Wemby got pushed like crazy. Yeah, so should have Paolo should have been pushed like crazy. I mean, Reese did have a solid push and then that nigga got hurt, but there's a lot more other players you should be pushing at one time. It shouldn't just be focused. You shouldn't just push 2 players a year. How Bezos said, oh yeah, they really were trying to push John and fucking Zion. That's whack. Why is it just John and Zion? Push everybody. Push all your young stars as much as you can. 24/7. You have an entire league. It's 450 fucking players.
I'll just counter argue. I feel like, at least in my head, the reason why you wouldn't do that is because if you push everyone, then you can't focus all that attention on like a concentrated. You're diluting the push, if that makes sense. So instead of making 2 people mega superstars, and that's what's really helped out the NCAA, you're making like 10, 15 just superstars, if that makes sense. Which I feel like the NBA already got right now.
And I feel like adding more superstars for the NBA specifically, because how big it is better. It makes no sense for a league as big as the NBA to just focus on 2 megastars. It's too big of a league. For the women's college basketball, they need that. The eyes and attention wasn't there on the game at all. How, like Omar said to start, niggas was talking about the product was bad. And they weren't even watching the product. Like, they needed to have 2 megastars to draw people in. You don't need that with the NBA anymore.
So you don't think the NBA needs a megastar? Because I would probably disagree with that. That's where I would probably.
They can have. Listen, the people will make a megastar. The NBA doesn't have to do it. The people will find someone to gravitate to, and whoever's game and personality propels them to being that megastar, it will be that. The aura will be there. It will do its job. What I'm saying is, if you're going to push new guys, you shouldn't just hard push 2 new guys at a time. That's what I'm saying. The megastars or the wannabe megastars are in place. They put them guys in place. But the upcoming guys, the next guys, how back in 2015, damn near 10 years ago, it was who's going to be the next guy when LeBron retires. And niggas was throwing the Kevin Durant's, ADs, and shit like that. When you have that conversation, you need to push more guys. More guys need to be pushed. There's no reason why if you have a number 1 pick that's balling out, he's not getting pushed. That's wild. What was he number 1 pick for?
I disagree. That 1 or 2 things is going to
Steph forced it. Steph forced him to push him.
That 1 or 2 things is always going to hard carry everything. It's always going to carry in any economy, the music industry, the creator industry, or whatever. That 1 or 2 is going to be the thing that brings the majority of the eyes to whatever platform or whatever thing we're talking about. Sure, there are some people that are going to help and aid, I guess, along. They're going to be bigger names. But the reason why YouTube has billions of dollars to distribute every single month to the other creators is because Mr. Beast is that guy. The reason why the NBA transcended the 2 times, like in the 80s and the 90s, is because Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and then Michael Jordan. It doesn't matter.
Push the game globally. Go ahead.
Even then, going into the next generation, it wasn't okay. Well, let's spread it thin and start talking about all 80 of these guys. It was,
But
hey, did they?
In the 2000s, it was definitely evenly dispersed. Maybe the top upper echelons was set in stone. Maybe you had the same 5 names at the absolute top. But in the 2000s, talent was dispersed evenly around the league. You look at all-star games, it's 1 or 2 all-stars on damn near representing the entire league. Like it was different in the 2000s. There was a push for somebody.
Magic, Bird, Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, Bron, Curry / KD if you want to go there.
We're not talking about talent being distributed. We're talking about who's being marketed, who's being pushed, what's carried.
If you're saying who's being marketed as the best player in the league, fine. I'm just talking about players being marketed as in general to being superstar. I wasn't having the megastar conversation. Like I said, I would much rather have a plethora of superstars than having 2 megastars.
Even then, nobody's ever cared about the plethora of superstars. It's not about all these good
in the 2000s, they did. That's what I'm saying. In the 2000s, they did.
You're talking about talent.
I'm looking at it right now, bro. If Kobe wasn't in those finals, them ratings tanked.
It's hard for me to sit there and agree with that because I think Kobe backpacked that one. Because people call Tim Duncan boring right now, and Tim Duncan is like the second guy there. And then Shaq prior to was that middle ground between Jordan and Kobe, in my opinion. And then Jordan is fucking Jordan. I think that's the only part where I disagree with your argument. Most of your argument, I'm pretty copacetic with. I don't know exactly where I die on. But when the megastars thing, I think megastars are necessary in everything. Like we have our conversations about the rap game. Yeah, all right, so what's gonna happen when Cole, who unfortunately we're gonna talk about later, Drake and Kendrick go away? What happens then? Or we have that thing in it's even some in other sports and anything like that. It's a common thing. YouTube even with fucking Mr. Beef, Kai on Twitch. I think everybody needs that guy.
But right now in the NBA, aren't there players that are in place to have a megastar push? They already have that.
Ooh.
But Luka and Giannis for the first 2, in my opinion, that are going to get megastar treatment, especially after LeBron and Curry go down, after they're done, after the KDs are done, when those niggas are finally out of here, those are the front runners for getting a megastar. Why are you saying no? Luka's not. You don't think a nigga like Luka's getting set up to get a megastar push? Are we serious?
You should.
I think
the nigga in his second or third year, they were already saying, "Oh yeah, this is MVP year." What?
Talent.
And just started to get it, but again,
your best bet is Luka and
had the Bucks not sucked this year, had Damian Lillard not went and sucked the life out the Bucks, niggas would have seen it. But even if you want to take Giannis off of there, Wemby cool. They are pushing that nigga super crazy. Wemby cool, Ant's getting to himself, but again, still, you can name other names. So there's niggas that are in place to get megastar pushes. That's my point. They have that already. It's not like no one's is in place to get that push. Nigga, you are a Luka fan, and you're telling me that you don't think Luka is in place to get a megastar push? Really?
Luka, Wemby, and Tatum if he wins this year. I ain't gonna lie. That's an unpopular one. If Tatum wins this year, they're gonna be pushing the shit out of Tatum, bro.
Yeah, Tatum wins. Tatum's better than everybody in the league. They're gonna pull that.
I just don't. Wemby got his logo today, which is a sign that they're ready to set him up for something, to get on his next path. But that's still something that has to develop. We should be ushering in that. Every other league, every other time period has been, hey, this guy is ready by the time this guy ends. Patrick Mahomes was ready by the time Brady got up out of here. Peyton Manning was coming in when John Elway was coming out. When Joe Montana was coming out. Like these older players were coming out. This guy was already in. You're still talking about, hey, let's set up for the next guy. Y'all saying these are anomalies, that's perfectly fine. But they manufacture some of this stuff. I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about push. No, I don't think they're going to push Luka. I really do think what Bezos is saying, like Americans have some sort of stigma behind like European players. Gilbert's just saying it kind of out loud, but like they have preconceived notions about these people. I know you probably don't feel that way, Damo. Like for real. You probably don't. I don't either. Y'all know how I feel about Luka. I'm talking about the general consensus. That's just the way that people talk.
I think there's a lack of relatability when your biggest market is still the U.S. Like you can push a Luka, you can push a Giannis as much as you can, and you'll still succeed with it to a certain degree. But I'm telling you right now, if Luka and Giannis were American, we would not be having these conversations whatsoever. It'll be concrete who that next guy is.
It is concrete. Okay, I'm just.
Who is it?
It is concrete. Luka.
I agree with you. Luka's that next guy. I agree with you.
This is crazy. I'm bugging because Luka is literally being put in place to get a megastar push, and everyone can see the writing on the wall. He is being put in place to get a push, especially since Gunho Morant is doing what he's doing, especially since porn star lover Zion is doing what he's doing.
You did not have before. That's the problem. be so. You just brought another name out of the box. You hadn't been saying Ant. You said Ant first. You went a long moment without saying Ant, and then you just said Ant again. So which one is it? Which two guys is it?
I'm not saying it's just two guys. I'm saying there are players in general. I never put a number on how many players it was. I said they are having players put in place so you can make us start pushes. I never put a number on it. Never once did I put a number on it. Where did I say it's always two guys? When did I say that? Because I named three. I named the first two, and I named more. What are we doing?
Remember the conversation we're having. You think that there's going to be multiple megastars in the NBA?
Did not say that.
Damo did not say that. I will say that.
I never said that.
Listen, I know he didn't say that, but I said, remember the conversation. Listen. I said, remember the conversation we're having. Sage, are we not having a conversation about megastars?
I could say yes, we were having a conversation about megastars. I can say that.
Not having a conversation about megastars?
We are having a conversation about the value of megastars in the league, yes.
So why the fuck would anybody talk about superstars in a megastar conversation?
Because Damo said he would rather have 15, 16 superstars than just two megastars. That is why superstars are brought up in the conversation.
When Bezos originally said it, he said 2 megastars does more for the league than 15 superstars. I then said, well, I would much rather have 15 to 20 superstars. That's literally what I said, and I was arguing from that point of view. Then I brought up the 2000s where there were multiple superstars. Y'all rebuttal with, in the 2000s, viewership was down, Kobe wasn't this, that, and the third. And I can see that. All right, cool. Megastars may be more important than I'm giving credit for. Therefore, there are players being put in place to be megastars. Niggas asked me who. I said Luka and Giannis. Niggas told me not Giannis. They started naming Wemby and Ant. So then I said Ant. Then I went without saying Ant to say other niggas, and I said Ant again. Now it's a fucking issue that I didn't say Ant every time. I only said Ant once or twice.
It's cool, dog. Joe Johnson was in the league and nobody gave a shit. Yes. Nobody gives a fuck about Joe Johnson. Nobody gives a fuck about these losers.
They would if he got pushed. They would if he got a push like that. If niggas really pushed Joe Johnson, maybe it was a different outlook. But he didn't get a push like that.
Nobody will. That's part of the problem. Well, even if they pushed him, I still don't think anybody's gonna care about the superstar. Nobody cares about the nigga that's getting the 4th seed. Nobody cares about the 5th seed and you just the great. Nobody cares about that, bro.
Do y'all think they even push players, or do they kind of wait for like a natural push, organic push without like the NBA really doing shit, and then they kind of
they go, yeah, he actually has been good the entire time, or they just really size the shit on first set going. Someone in chat was like, I agree with you, Damo. Look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry, I don't count in this conversation because Steph Curry is an example of the NBA even doing what Damo wants it to do. Steph Curry was kind of just in your face shooting 30-footers. You either just accepted that or you didn't. Like over time, he was like, he's just a shooter. All right, he might be the greatest shooter, but he's still just a shooter. Then the nigga starts dribbling. It's like you either accept it or you didn't. But in general, if we're talking about the NBA doing their job, then I think a lot of the time what the NBA has done recently, not in throughout history, but recently has been, see, Jokic can make the finals, can he? That guy's good. You see, Luka can make the WCF and solo squad the Clippers and the Suns. That guy's good type shit. So I feel like now they're very result oriented, but in the past, the NBA used to just frame one, the chosen one. You know what I'm saying? They used to do shit like that.
Yeah, and mind you, took a lot of bites at it. Just claimed a lot of people were the next Jordan or Jordan stopper until they got one. Like literally, they would just start calling anybody anything. And we would hate for a couple years that person would fall off the face of the earth. And then now we're at this point. But you waited so long. And now these dudes don't even care. Like I really don't think that they care to be any of that stuff that we're trying to make them to be. Like,
you think that's a good or bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing. I think a lot of the defensive issues, we don't care about all these different things issues. We don't care about marketing ourselves. We don't care about doing these commercials or these advertisements going to these local places and pushing our name. We don't care about them calling me anything. We don't care about being a part of these narratives. All these things matter in the grand scheme of getting these casual viewers. So I would love to see what the Lakers look like when it's just an Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves type thing, and there's no Steph Curry and there's no Kevin Durant, and we didn't sit here and forcefully push somebody for the past X amount of years. It's gonna look real ugly to me.
I thought it was a good thing because I thought the problem was we were setting way too high expectations on these draft picks, and then when they didn't meet them, now it's they're a bust. So I thought it was a net positive, the fact that we aren't setting these high expectations on people anymore, unless they're Zion, unless they're Wemby. Which I do think that's the reason why Cade and Paolo haven't been pushed as much, is because we've kind of lowered those expectations in a good way.
Yeah, but you care too much about basketball. And ultimately, when Cade starts producing, nobody's going to give a fuck about Cade. We spent the first 4 years shitting on him. You have Detroit Pistons, like Sage said, you have Detroit Pistons fans. I want him off my team. I want to see a Javen Ivy-led backcourt.